Dr. Ericka Mizuta here, talking about genetics and how that plays into your health, and also epigenetics. So genetics are things that you're born with. For example, gene expressions like you might have a gene for BRCA, which is for breast cancer. There's Alzheimer's genes, Parkinson's genes, all kinds of genes. So basically, you're born with that. Epigenetics is basically explained as gene switches, whether that gene is turned on or off, and what affects that. So there was a large scale study done in 2005, and I'll link that study if you ever want to go read that. But basically what that study was, is it was studying monozygotic twins, which are essentially identical twins. So when you have an identical twin, it's going to have the twins are going to have the exact same DNA. So, for example, you could have two female twins, and this is what this study looked at, that might both have the BRCA gene present, right? But they were split up at birth, maybe adopted, right? So one grew up in one area of the United States with, one family, and the other grew up in an opposite area. And so in the study, they studied all of these monozygotic twins, and what they found were not the twins' genetics that played into, the diseases and things that happened to them, but more the epigenetics. So again, take the BRCA gene example, and this was not one that was in this particular study, but it's just the easy one to understand because everybody knows what it is. So with that BRCA gene example, think about one of those twins maybe living near a farm where lots of like Roundup and pesticides and things are used commonly. And then the other one maybe lives in a mountain area where there's cleaner water, fresher air. Maybe they exercise more, they go hiking a lot, right? And what they would see is that the one twin that lived near the farm that was exposed to the pesticides developed the cancer for the gene they had, whereas the other one didn't. So the reason why this is important is because I have a lot of patients that'll come in. In physical therapy, we see a lot of patients with osteoarthritis, and a lot of times, honestly, it's due to people being overweight, and they need to get hip replacements, knee replacements, back surgeries, etc. And a lot of patients will say to me, "Oh, I can't lose weight. It's genetic. My dad was obese, my mom was obese. That's going to be me." Well, that's not necessarily true because of epigenetics. So, and what turns those genes on and off can be environmental factors. It can be mental factors. There's a lot of things that can turn gene expressions on or off. Another great example are patients that have genetic predisposition to type 2 diabetes. If you have that genetic factor, but environmentally you and mentally like sugar and are addicted to it, and you eat a lot of sugar, then you're going to turn those genes on and you're going to be a type 2 diabetic. But if you decide, that you're going to eat healthy and eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise more, you basically can turn that gene expression off and not have type 2 diabetes. So, and there are some things that have stronger genetic factors than others, but basically what this 2005 study showed is about 70 to 90% of the diseases that people are getting, even if they have the genetic predisposition, 70 to 90% of those genes can be turned on or off with epigenetics. So the big takeaway here, it means that if you have a genetic predisposition to something, then if you take the proper steps to try to prevent that particular disease, as well as we know how, you're likely to not get it. So just remember that now that it's February, and a lot of my patients have stopped working on their goals because they've gotten demotivated, just know that most of the things that happen, you can actually turn the genes on or off.